What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with my Week 15 NFL Power Rankings. As you can see here, the biggest movers are the Falcons and the Niners. Niners obviously with a dominant win. Falcons just didn't show up in the game they needed to win. And we'll jump into 29 through 32. Bottom feeders here, 3 and 10 or 2 and 11 teams. They fall here. Jaguars get the win over the Titans to move to 3 and 10. Titans get the Bengals this week, which I'll be at. Raiders, Falcons, Giants face the Ravens at home. Jets, Jaguars. I mean, these teams, they're playing for pride at this point in the season. Kind of the same thing for these teams as well, as they're also all 3 and 10. Jets are out of it. Browns don't have a chance. Patriots are playing for the future. Panthers as well. And some brutal news there as Jonathan Brooks re-tears his ACL, I believe it is. It's pretty bad. Obviously, there your first round pick gone just like, or second round pick is gone just like that yet again. But Chuba obviously signed him, so at least there's some hope there. And the Panthers just need to get a few more weapons around Bryce Young and a better, but not better offensive line, but a better team around him. And I think the Panthers could be a team next year that could be fighting for an NFC South championship. And I say that because 21 to 22, you get the Falcons and the Saints, and we're going to see the Bucks later on, but no one's really blowing each other away in this division and wants to win this division at this point in the season. Obviously, Falcons get blown out on the road where Kirk returns home, and they might make a quarterback switch for Penix. Who knows at this point in the season? Saints win an ugly game in New York, but a win is a win, and who knows? Maybe they shock the world against the Commanders. And once they fired Dennis Allen, this has been a whole new Saints team. The Cowboys, tough loss at home to the Bengals as their playoff chances pretty much took a hit with that one. Obviously they're not good as is, but falling to 5 and 8 rather than 6 and 7, still got a chance to get in the playoffs. Then the Bears, just another devastating loss there. Obviously the Thanksgiving loss, the Packers loss, so on and so forth. This Bears team just can't figure it out this year, but maybe next year they're going to be a good team. 17 through 20, these teams are on the fringe of making the playoffs, possibly getting in, or they're going to be the first teams left out. Dolphins and Bengals and the Colts and the AFC. I think one of those teams is going to get in. Unsure which one, but I think one of those teams will get in this year. I just say that because I think it's really up in the air. And I think the Bengals definitely have the harder schedule moving forward, but the Dolphins this week play the Texans in Houston. So that's a huge game to see if this team wants to be a playoff team or be a pretender. Same for the Bengals. Got to win the games you have to win. Started last week within Dallas. This week they go to Tennessee. They got to win that game if they want to keep those playoff hopes alive. And then the Colts, same thing. They get the Broncos on the road, which is a tough test for them, but coming out of the bye week, it should be a good matchup. And then the Niners, somehow, some way, this Niners team still has a good chance to make the playoffs, with the Seahawks only being 8 and 5. Now they're only 2 games back, but they have to win this week against the Rams, keep the Rams out of the wild card race and the playoff picture. And, the Niners just keep finding ways to run the ball. It doesn't matter who's in the backfield for them. 13 through 16, these are the teams that are in the playoffs right now, I believe, besides the Cardinals. And you have the Texans, Bucks, Commanders. They're teams that I think are kind of just floating into the playoffs. Texans, need kind of a lot to happen for them to not make the playoffs. Bucks, right now they're winning the NFC South by a game. I think going into Los Angeles is going to be a huge game for them. Now, if they can win that one, I think the Bucks are probably going to be your NFC South champions. Cardinals have to win this week against the Patriots, or else they're just probably not going to make the playoffs. Then the Commanders go on the road to the Saints, which I think could be a tough test for them. But if they win that game, I think you can be pretty confident in saying that the NFC might be wrapped up for the playoffs with 3 weeks to go if, teams can take care of business. But we've seen with 3 weeks left in this NFL season, a lot can happen. And here you get 9 through 12, and Seahawks should be flipped right there at 9. Chargers and then Broncos. Logos are messed up there. Sorry about that. But the Seahawks did win against the Cardinals. Obviously, that is a huge win for them to take the NFC West lead by 2 games. And I think no one's really talking about Seattle and what they're doing. Didn't have Kenneth Walker. Zach Charbonnet had an awesome game for all those fantasy football owners out there. Seahawks are getting wins, and they're doing it in any kind of way. Passing, running the ball, defensive. Big test this week at home. They get the Packers, which should be a huge game for playoff seeding, as well. And then, like I said, Chargers, Broncos fighting for playoff seeding as well in the AFC. And, the division title's probably, or it is out of race now because Chiefs won. So, there's 3 games to go and, or 4 games to go, but they already have the tiebreakers. So, Chiefs already won the AFC West. So, both these teams are playing for playoff berths in the wild card round. Then the Rams, I think, could be a sneaky team. They upset the Bills last week. This week they go to the Niners, which is pretty much down the road for Thursday Night Football, and they win that game 8-6. I think this Rams team could be a dangerous team in the next few weeks, and probably a team you don't want to face that's going to come into your building in the playoffs. 5 through 8, only changes here. Flipping the Vikings and the Packers. I think it's kind of long overdue. Maybe my bias was getting in the way of the Packers, but this Vikings team just keeps on winning. Yeah, it might not be pretty, but this week it was. 42 points on the Falcons, beaten by 21. It was a close game in the first half, but Sam Darnold, 5 passing touchdowns. It's hard to overlook that and not move them up in the standings. They get the Bears at home, which should be the same result, but we know divisional games can be challenging, especially the NFC North this year because all those teams are really good, even the Bears playing teams well in the division. Packers didn't go their way against the Lions, lost on multiple fourth down conversions, and then obviously Jake Bates hitting the game-winning field goal. So they got to regroup and regroup quickly. Got to beat Seattle this week if they really want to keep those 5 seed and NFC North hopes alive. But NFC North, you can probably kiss that goodbye now with the Lions still only having 1 loss. And then you have the Steelers and the Ravens both in the AFC North. Steelers 2 games up on the Ravens in the AFC North. And Steelers win 1 game. I think it's pretty much going to be theirs. I know that there's 4 weeks left, but 11-3 at this point, if you can go into Philly, it's going to be hard for me to see the Steelers really not winning a division if you can go into Philly and win that game. And then obviously the Ravens this week have the Giants, so should be a cakewalk for them, but you never know. It is getting late in the season. And then 1 through 4, I think this is kind of what you would imagine. I know the Bills beat the Chiefs as their only loss, but Chiefs just keep on finding ways to win, just like the Lions. Close victories, but wins are wins. And the Lions, I think the Lions, I don't think they should play the Chiefs. I don't think that's not correct there. I definitely didn't change that there. But it is going to be a big week this week. It should say Lions Bills. Do these teams play each other this week? And that's a huge game as well. So if you get that game, make sure you are watching that game because I think that's could be a Super Bowl preview this year. It could happen. I mean, you get the best team in the NFC right now versus the second best team in the AFC, but Mahomes is Mahomes, and we'll go back to that. Mahomes and the Chiefs obviously had that game-winning drive, milked all the clock, got the first downs when they needed them. Typical Chiefs moment. A win is a win for them at home against the Chargers, divisional opponent. Now they go into Cleveland, should take care of business there and move on to the next game. But that's going to be it for my Week 15 power rankings. Check back next week to see where your favorite team ranks with only a few weeks left in the NFL season. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.